Buongiorno! So this video is inspired by a recent conversation I had with one of my cousins who I love very much. She was interested in learning on how to make meatballs, or learning more about making meatballs. So today's recipe is exactly that, the art of making meatballs. And the recipe is called polpette alla parmigiana. So we are going Italy style today. Every country has a version of this, and there are so many variations of meatballs. For instance, in Latin America, they are called albondigas, and in Italy, polpettes. And again, I will go over those ingredients in just one moment. We have breadcrumbs and milk. We have, for the meatballs itself, we have 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of Italian sausage, 1 egg, which is going to be our binder, garlic, plenty of garlic, but this garlic, it may seem like a lot, but it's going to be divided between the other meatball recipe that we have here, and I will go over those ingredients in just one moment. Same with the grated onions. We are going to do the division of that. We have our aromatics, which is a combination of Italian seasoning, fresh and dry spices, parsley, and a lot of salt and pepper. That's going to be to taste. After all, recipes are just a guide. You make them your own. That is the idea here, but I will kind of tell you so you have an idea more or less of the quantities we are using here. So first things first, we are going to start with the secret ingredient, which is the panade. What is a panade? Basically, it is a starch with a liquid. Not necessarily equal parts, but what I'm using today, based on the amounts of beef that I have here, it is just 1 slice of bread. I had ciabatta, so I use about 3 little crostini slices of bread. I chopped it up very small dice, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we are making a paste. This is about 1/4 of a cup of milk, and if you are looking into milliliters, it's milliliters, sorry, is 60. So we're just combining these two here, and the reason we're doing that now is because it takes about 4 to 5 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So it depends. So we are just going to put that in there. And we're going to get a fork and kind of like press it down like so. If you do not have bread, you can certainly do breadcrumbs. You can do any starch, really. And you can do, if you don't have milk, because sometimes we do run out of milk, you can certainly use water. Or if you are not into lactate ingredients, you can certainly try to use it with almond milk or whatever you have at hand. If not, simple water will do. And we're just gonna add this, let it sit there for a little and set aside. I got another 1/4 of a cup, so we're gonna be mindful. It's always best to add because we cannot take away. So we're adding half of this and see how that goes. Yes, we just want it to cover. So you want enough liquid to cover the amount of starch that you have, so it can soak up and create that paste. And you don't have to time it. You can eyeball this. It is definitely going to be a paste. You will not see those the original dices that you saw in here. They are going to disappear. They're going to come very mushy. So yes, we're going to add the entire amount here. Here we go. It's going to soak up. And how this is going to act into our recipe, it is, think of it as an IV, you know, it's going to slowly, surely but slowly, is going to release the moisture. So when we add the panade to this and into the oven, it's going to start releasing the liquid very slowly, droplets and droplets, so it can kind of keep it nice and plump and keep it from staying dry. So instead of having those hard, dry meatballs, this is going to be very nice, moist, and juicy meatballs. The proteins are going to be nice and cooking in there, and that's how that's going to go. So we're going to let that hang out. But the one thing we want to get going is our ingredients together to make the meatballs with the meaty ones. So there's some liquid in there, which is great. We're going to let that out, and we're going to lift that out. We don't want this juices there. This is the ground beef, Italian sausage. I'm using a pound and a pound, so it's okay if you want to use a pound and a half of one and just a full pound of the other, and the more the merrier. So what I like to do here is combine this two here. Hands are clean. Your best tool for this is your hands. If you want to wear gloves, it's fine. Now when I'm mixing my ingredients, I like to make a little hole here, making a little volcano, a little tunnel here, and I'm going to place those ingredients in there, particularly the egg. One egg goes in there, and you want to crack that on a flat surface because you don't want the shells to go inside your egg. Okay, so flat surface it goes. My egg goes in there. Remember I said we're going to divide this ingredient, so I'm not going to put all this garlic in here. I'm just going to put part of this garlic in there because I'm also going to put some in the sauce and some into the other mixture for the vegetarian version of this. Garlic. We're still waiting on this mod. Some of this parsley goes in there. All of this oregano. So one important ingredient I kind of left out because it was in the fridge, but it's here now. It is the Parmesan cheese. Grated Parmesan cheese is going to go into that mixture, but I don't want to add it just yet. What I'm going to add is the Worcestershire, the sauce that is very hard to pronounce. I like a dash of this sauce in there, so maybe 2 dashes of that, like heavy-handed of a dash, but come on. I'm going to show you all the steps to this thing. And when in doubt, your tools. Great. It is pasty, and that's what we want. Very spongy when it's falling apart like this, because we're going to give it a good mixture. We can finish it up that way, okay? The panade seems to be ready. We got salt, and we're going to be mindful about the salt content because there is salt in the Parmesan, so we need to be careful of how much salt we add to this, okay? I'm going to add the regular pepper. All of this cheese in there, the panade. We have the eggs, so we're making the little well in there, and then we're going to add this in here. Panade is very pasty. And we're going to do salt, just a bit. Hands. Smells great. This is one of those things you cannot taste until it's completely done. Texture is right where it needs to be. Not too soggy, you can still manage it, and that's what you want. To overwork this too much, but it's got everything blended in there like it's supposed to. Okay, now bear with me. I need to get the container where this is gonna go. You can certainly have a skillet that can be easy to put into the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and then some, because even though it's gonna be there at a lower temperature, it's going to still be there in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes because we want the marinara sauce that we just made and the cheese to melt, so whatever amount of time that takes. Another scooper. This one is slightly bigger than the previous one, and again we want to make meatballs. This one we're not adding any fat to the vessel because the meatball itself has fat in it, ground beef, perhaps the pork meat. That is the reason why you combine two different kinds of meats, so you can get a nice mixture. And the size of these meatballs are great size for the meal that we are making today. If you want to have a party, you can certainly make this slightly smaller. An appetizer size. So we're going to continue to do this until we fill this skillet. So here we are. Meatballs are done. I started on the outside. I arranged them gradually in the vessel that I'm going to put that in there. You don't want to be overcrowded, but you need to have them somewhat of a spacing between them, and that's how it's going to go. Into the oven, 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. This is roasting, like I said, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That is significant. So that was roasting. I'm turning it down to 375 because I am going to just melt this down. And the reason 375, because we're really cooking at 350, because when we keep this door open, it's gonna the temperature is gonna drop significantly. So I want to keep the heat while it's nice and hot. So we remove the fat from the pan. We put a bed of the sauce in the bottom, and we're gonna put the meatballs back in here. From the previous recipe, I added fresh mozzarella that's going on top of this one. We're gonna just kind of chunk it up in here, because the way this thing is going to melt, it's gonna be just amazing. There's that Parmesan. Nicely coated. Parsley that we have in the border goes on there. A little bit goes a long way, and some of the between the cracks of the meatballs between the other. Okay, and this one goes in uncovered. Some bubbling action going. We're gonna dress it up with some nice herbs. We have some more basil, and I'm gonna show you how to plate that.